crisp snap of a pretzel pathway under your worn, sugar-dusted boots was a familiar, grating comfort. Each step echoed a brittle truth in this world of confectionery whimsy. Even the sweetest things eventually crack. You, an aspiring Lumina Scryer, had always seen the fractures in the glittering facade of the Buttercream Bridges, those sprawling, spongy thoroughfares that webbed across a sky perpetually stained with hues of pastel and clotted cream. Flavor folk bustled past, a kaleidoscope of sentient gingerbread, animated fruit jellies, and sentient peppermint sticks, their usual effervescent chatter now tinged with a faint, sour edge, like a lemon drop left too long in the sun. This world, vibrant and saccharine, was becoming a mockery of its own name. Your goal, a deeply personal and often ridiculed aspiration, was to unite the fragmented melodies of the harmony bell. Not just a bell, but the harmony bell, the cosmic chime that legend held, orchestrated the very essence of flavor and joy across the stardusted communities beyond the cloud strata. Most dismissed it as a child's fable, a romantic notion from a bygone era. You, however, knew better. Your journal, a heavy, leather-bound tome filled with meticulously detailed, if highly speculative, interpretations of ancient star charts, was a testament to that conviction. Its pages, usually dull parchment, sometimes seemed to hum with a latent energy, the ink almost shimmering in the right light. You kept it hidden, a secret solace in a world that preferred pleasant ignorance. Today, however, ignorance was becoming a luxury no one could afford. The Sour Patch had arrived. It was a creeping, insidious blight, a gray-green corruption that spread across the pristine, fluffy platforms, turning the very air acrid. What was once the sweet perfume of spun sugar architecture now carried the unpleasant tang of vinegar and spoiled fruit. Your Lumina Scryer senses, usually attuned to the delicate, energetic frequencies of the cosmos, now picked up a pervasive, guttural discord. It was a cacophony that grated against your soul, a slow, agonizing groan emanating from the very fabric of existence. You watched a cluster of small, whimsical creatures, the Gummy Goo Sprites, flit despondently through what remained of the Gummy Goo Gardens. Their usual iridescent glow was dim, their tiny, diaphanous wings drooping. These sprites, vital pollinators, were meant to spread delightful aromas, their passage leaving trails of strawberry, blueberry, and lemon zest in the air. Now, as they brushed against the wilting, sour-tinged flora, they merely released a faint, bitter mist. The once vibrant goo, a shimmering spectrum of edible colors, was congealing into a dull, gray sludge. The very essence of delight was being systematically leached from the world. This, you knew, was the harmony bell's wail, amplified and distorted. The sprites' inability to perform their function, the souring of the gardens, it was all a symptom. The fragmented melodies were losing their individual notes, dissolving into an ugly silence. Your mission felt less like an aspiration and more like a desperate, cynical necessity. If the Sour Patch consumed the core of the Buttercream Bridges, what would be left of the flavor folk? Of you? Another day, another dollop of gloom, a scryer, a voice bright and lilting despite the encroaching unpleasantness, cut through your thoughts. You didn't need to turn to know it was Phalan's Skyweaver, your foil, your diametric opposite, and paradoxically, your fellow Nebulity alchemist. Where you saw the shadows, Phalan saw the potential for a new bloom. Where you meticulously charted the celestial discord, Phalan concocted elixirs of laughter and joy from cosmic dust and starlight dew. Gloom is too mild a word, Phalan, you replied, your voice rougher than you intended. It's a full-blown existential flavor crisis. The Gummy Goo gardens are curdling. The sprites are depressed. The very thought of a pretzel pathway makes my teeth ache. Phalan sidled up beside you, their gaze, a striking azure, scanning the blight with a theatrical sigh that somehow managed to be more charming than mournful. Their multi-layered tunic, woven from strands of crystallized sugar and celestial silk, seemed to absorb and refract the fading light, making them shimmer with an otherworldly glow. Ah, but think of the challenge. A new opportunity for a truly invigorating Nebulity blend. Something with a kick. Perhaps a Sour Patch Purifier brew. They winked, a playful glint in their eyes, then produced a steaming cup from the folds of their sleeve, offering it to you. Here, a starlight serenity, hints of lavender, moon petal honey, and just a whisper of cosmic calm, guaranteed to soothe even the most cynical of souls. You accepted the cup, the warmth a welcome contrast to the chill creeping into your bones. The delicate aroma of the tea was a brief, sweet respite, a fragile memory of how things used to be. You took a slow sip, the liquid coating your tongue with a subtle, calming sweetness. It was good, undeniably so, but it didn't erase the pervasive bitterness clinging to the air, the underlying tremor you felt in the very ground beneath your feet, the constant, crisp snap of the pretzel pathway reminding you of the brittle reality. Serenity won't fix a cosmic discord, Phalan, you murmured, staring into the swirling depths of the tea. The harmony bell is fracturing. I can feel its resonance weakening, stretching thin like overpulled taffy. This sour patch, it's just the physical manifestation of a deeper, more profound disharmony. Perhaps, Phalan conceded, a rare, thoughtful crease appearing on their brow. But a clear mind is a good starting point, no. Speaking of clear minds, have you heard the whispers from the Lumina Sanctum? Beatrice Lexington has returned. The Spark Seeker, they call her. She's got some grand plan to restore harmony to the automated world. And she's got half the city council eating out of her hand, promising a swift, decisive end to the Sour Patch. You felt a familiar prickle of irritation. Beatrice Lexington. The name itself felt like polished chrome, efficient and cold. Her spark-seeking was less about understanding the cosmos and more about engineering it, about imposing order rather than discovering it. Her goal, to restore harmony to the automated world, was fundamentally at odds with yours. You sought to unite organic, celestial melodies. She sought to impose a rigid, machine-like perfection. This, you suspected, was the core misunderstanding, the seed of the looming conflict. Automated harmony, you scoffed, blowing a wisp of steam from your cup. As if the cosmos operates on a circuit board. Harmony isn't something you program, Phalan. It's something you coax, something you listen to, something you nurture from a million disparate, beautiful fragments. You tapped your journal, still tucked securely beneath your arm. The star charts speak of the harmony bell not as a single instrument, but as a conductor for a vast, celestial orchestra. To automate it would be to silence it, to replace its living resonance with a sterile hum. Phelan, ever the optimist, simply smiled. Perhaps she merely has a different approach. After all, the Sour Patch is spreading. Someone needs to act decisively, and her spark seekers are nothing if not efficient. They paused, their gaze drifting over your shoulder. Ah, speak of the gingerbread man. There she is now. You turned, your senses immediately assaulted by a different kind of energy, sharp, precise, almost metallic. Beatrice Lexington strode across a newly reinforced section of pretzel pathway, her movements crisp and deliberate. Unlike Phelan's flowing garments or your own practical gear, Beatrice wore a finely tailored, obsidian-hued suit, its lines sharp, its fabric seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. A subtle, almost imperceptible hum emanated from her, a low thrum of contained power. Her hair, meticulously swept back, revealed an intricate metallic earpiece that glowed with a faint, electric blue. She was flanked by a retinue of equally sharp-suited automatons, their multi-jointed limbs moving with uncanny synchronization, their optical sensors sweeping the area with cold, analytical efficiency. She stopped a few paces away, her gaze, sharp and intelligent, locking onto yours. There was no warmth in it, but no immediate hostility either, just a cool assessment. Lumina Scryer, she acknowledged, her voice modulated and clear, carrying just the faintest echo of synthesized perfection. I've heard of your esoteric pursuits, and I, spark seeker of your pragmatic solutions, you retorted, a cynical edge to your tone. You noted the precise, almost mathematical way her automatons were already deploying containment fields around a section of the Sour Patch, a sterile, glowing barrier that seemed to cut off the blighted area from the rest of the world. It was effective, certainly, but felt utterly wrong, like amputating a limb rather than healing the body. Esoteric pursuits won't stem the tide of decay, Beatrice stated, her gaze sweeping over the wilting Gummy Goo gardens. This Sour Patch, as you call it, is a systemic malfunction, a glitch in the core programming of our world. My goal is to restore the optimal operational parameters, to bring back the regulated, predictable harmony that ensures the stability of our automated systems. Our world is not a machine, Beatrice, you countered, clutching your tea. It breathes, it tastes, it sings. Its harmony is organic, not automated. She raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. A semantic distinction, Scryer. The outcome is what matters. Order, stability, predictability. These are the foundations of true peace. Your fragmented melodies sound suspiciously like chaos to me. She extended a hand, and a small, intricate device whirred to life in her palm, emitting a focused beam of light that sampled the air. My analysis indicates the primary dissonance stems from a degradation of the celestial resonance conduit. A simple recalibration of the harmony bell's core frequency modulator is required. I have already begun preparations to access the bell's central chamber. Your jaw tightened. Accessing the Harmony Bell's central chamber isn't a simple recalibration, Beatrice. It's a sacred space connected to every fiber of cosmic existence. Tampering with it without understanding its true nature could shatter everything. Or leaving it to your esoteric interpretations will ensure its complete collapse, she replied, her voice firm. We require direct action, Scryer, not celestial navel-gazing. I trust you'll appreciate the efficiency of my methods once the Buttercream Bridges are restored to their pristine, predictable glory. With a final, dismissive nod, she turned and continued her sterile march, her automatons falling into synchronized step, leaving you and Phelan in the acrid air of the Sour Patch. Well, Phelan said, breaking the silence, she's certainly decisive and efficient. Maybe she's right, Scryer. Perhaps the bell just needs a good tuning. You shook your head, the last vestiges of the Starlight Serenity tea now tasting faintly bitter. No, Phelan. She sees a broken machine. I see a symphony struggling to find its rhythm. Her harmony will be the silence of a forced, unnatural order. My journal holds the truth. There's more to this than a glitch. You instinctively reached for your small, almost forgotten object, a tarnished, slightly dented music box locket, suspended on a thin, braided sugar string around your neck. It was a relic from your earliest memories, a gift from a grandparent you barely remembered. It no longer played its tune, a faint, melancholic lullaby, its intricate gears long since rusted. It was insignificant, broken, just like the fragmented world you perceived, yet you clung to it. The Harmony Bell, according to your star charts, was not merely a mechanical construct, but a living nexus of cosmic energy, its chimes resonating with the very heartbeat of the universe. Its dissonance, the central conflict you now faced, stemmed from the fragmented melodies of countless cosmic communities, all out of sync. Beatrice's approach, to impose a singular, automated frequency, would be akin to forcing an entire orchestra to play a single, monotonous note. Your Lumina Scrying led you deeper into the affected zones. The air grew thicker, the ground softer, more yielding, like stale cake. The crisp snap of the pretzel pathway was replaced by a squishy give, a sickening silence that amplified the internal hum of your own worried thoughts. You chronicled the spread in your journal, sketching the angular progression of the Sour Patch, meticulously noting the dwindling luminosity of the surrounding stars, visible even through the sugary clouds. Each entry was a desperate attempt to find a pattern, a hidden code within the chaos. Phelan, true to their nature, insisted on accompanying you, albeit often trailing a safe distance behind, periodically offering you invigorating sips of Resilience Rejuvenator tea, a vibrant, citrusy concoction designed to combat the lingering acridity of the Sour Patch. Just a little something to keep your spirits from souring completely, Scryer. They'd chime, ever cheerful, even as their own bright tunic dulled slightly in the blighted zones. Perhaps if we just polished the bell, it would sound better. You appreciated Phelan's unwavering optimism, even if it grated against your cynical worldview. It's not about polishing Phelan. It's about resonance, about finding the lost chords. You ran a gloved hand over a particularly gnarled, sickly sweetgum tree, its bark blistering, its leaves curled and brittle. Your Lumina Scrying senses flared, detecting a faint, almost imperceptible whisper of a melody, twisted and mournful. It was a note from one of the distant cosmic communities, struggling to maintain its connection to the bell. Beatrice's progress was alarming. Her automatons, humming with contained energy, were methodically erecting more containment fields, creating sterile, quarantined zones that effectively suppressed the Sour Patch, but also silenced everything within them. The patches she cleared were left barren, devoid of flavor or life, a dead, perfectly ordered landscape. Her approach was terrifyingly effective and alarmingly destructive. You found yourself wondering, with a pang of unsettling doubt, if perhaps her brutal efficiency was the only way. This thought, this momentary lapse in your conviction, was a dangerous crack in your own carefully constructed cynicism. One particularly dense section of the Sour Patch, where the Buttercream Bridges had warped into a tangled, unnavigable mess of gooey, unpleasant sugar, seemed to be where Beatrice was focusing her most intense efforts. Your Lumina Scrying indicated a strong, distorted energy signature emanating from its heart. Almost certainly the approach to the harmony bell itself. You needed to find a way to navigate that terrain, to reach the bell before Beatrice imposed her automated silence upon it. It was then that you remembered the whispers, the vague rumors of the muffin mech suit, a wearable vehicle, legend claimed, designed for navigating challenging, unstable terrains. Its existence itself a testament to a time when ingenuity and whimsy went hand in hand. If anyone could retrieve it, it would be Beatrice, with her spark-seeking efficiency. You needed it. You were deep in one of the older, less traveled sectors of the Buttercream Bridges, a place where the pretzel pathways were overgrown with candied moss, and the cloud-stuffed platforms billowed like forgotten dreams. You were following a faint, almost imperceptible energy signature, a fleeting glimpse of something that seemed to align with one of your more obscure star chart interpretations. A constellation known as the Whispering Whisk, said to point towards hidden culinary marvels. Suddenly, a flicker of movement. A tiny, iridescent figure, no bigger than your thumb, zipped into view. It was a stardust sprite, its body a nebula of swirling motes, its wings shimmering like distant galaxies. Unlike the despondent Gummy Goo Sprites, this one radiated an almost dizzying cheerfulness, its voice a cascade of tinkling bells. Oh, traveler, aspiring scryer, isn't it? Such heavy thoughts you carry, such a grand quest, but so slow, so terribly, terribly slow. You stopped, intrigued despite yourself. You'd heard tales of stardust sprites, known for their capricious nature and their uncanny ability to find shortcuts, though not always to your intended destination. This one radiated an aura of pure, unadulterated helpfulness. Its tiny, star-gem eyes glittered with what seemed like genuine eagerness. I know a path, a secret, shimmering comet trail. It leads directly to the heart of the sweet, where the muffin mexute lies. It's guarded, oh yes, but my trail is invisible to those clanking automatons. Your mind, usually cynical and guarded, felt a sudden, inexplicable softening. The sprite's enthusiasm was infectious, and its offer seemed too good to pass up. Beatrice's presence was a constant pressure. Any shortcut to the mexute was a lifeline. You'd always prided yourself on your ability to see beyond the surface, but sometimes you overly trusted first impressions, especially when presented with such unvarnished, seemingly earnest charm. The sprite was small, bright, and utterly convincing in its sincerity. It was, you realized later, a fundamental flaw, a blind spot in your scrying. The muffin mexute, you asked, a glimmer of hope piercing your customary cynicism. Are you certain? Absolutely. Follow me. The sprite trilled, darting off into a shimmering tunnel of starlight that had, just moments before, been nothing but solid cloud stuff. You hesitated for only a second. Phelan, who had been lagging behind, caught up, a worried frown creasing their brow. Scryer, are you sure about this? Stardust sprites are mercurial. Their trails are often more glitter than substance. We don't have time, Phelan, you replied, already stepping into the shimmering trail. The air within the comet trail hummed with a strange energy, the light refracting oddly, making the world outside seem distant and blurry. You felt a brief jolt of exhilarating speed, a feeling of being pulled along by an unseen current. This was it, you thought, the shortcut, the edge you needed over Beatrice. The trail, however, didn't lead to a heart of the sweet. It led you through a maze of increasingly warped and disorienting sections of the Sour Patch, where the very gravity felt unreliable, and the ground shifted beneath your feet like quicksand. The glittering path began to fade, replaced by a sickly, greenish glow. The sweet smell of the Starlight Sprite's trail quickly dissipated, replaced by the pervasive, nauseating tang of vinegar. You realized your mistake too late. The Stardust Sprite, its cheerful tinkling laughter echoing menacingly, phased out of existence, leaving you stranded. The misleading comet trail deposited you in a desolate, forgotten corner of the Buttercream Bridges, a section of the cloud stuff that had solidified into something akin to rock candy shards, sharp and treacherous. Before you could even register the full extent of the betrayal, a low hum vibrated through the ground. Several Beatrice-style automatons, larger and more heavily armored than the scouting units, lumbered into view, their optical sensors glowing crimson. A cold, synthetic voice emanated from a hidden speaker on the lead automaton. Unsanctioned traversal detected. Threat assessment low. Capture protocol initiated. Your heart sank. You had been tricked, led directly into a trap, probably a diversion. The Stardust Sprite, that seemingly innocent creature, had been nothing more than a lure, a tool in Beatrice's meticulous plans. Your flaw, your damnable tendency to trust first impressions, had led to this. You were caught. Scryer, Phelan's voice, surprisingly strong, cut through the metallic clang of the approaching automatons. They burst through a thin veil of sour mist, a glowing vial of nebulae tea clutched in their hand. Don't just stand there. Drink this. You instinctively caught the vial Phelan tossed. It was a dark, swirling brew, emitting a faint, acrid odor, yet somehow invigorating. What is this? A sour shock revitalizer. It'll give you a burst of energetic disorientation, enough to scramble their sensors for a few seconds. Phelan yelled, already conjuring shimmering, ephemeral barriers of solidified joy dust around them. You didn't question it. You drank the tea, a jolt of bitter sweetness shocking your system, sending a wave of electric energy through your limbs. For a moment, the world twisted, colors shifting, sounds becoming disjointed. It wasn't pleasant, but it worked. The automatons, their sensors overloading with the unexpected chaotic energy, stuttered, their movements becoming erratic. Go, Scryer, go. Phelan urged, already engaging the automatons with a flurry of dazzling, distracting lights, and a potent, spicy nebulae tea spray that momentarily gummed up their optical sensors. I'll hold them off. Find the mech suit before she does. You didn't look back. The betrayal of the sprite, the cold efficiency of Beatrice's trap, the sudden, selfless courage of Phelan. It all solidified something within you. Your cynicism, usually a shield, now felt like a blunted weapon. You had been foolish, trusting the surface shimmer instead of scrying the deeper currents. This setback was a bitter, necessary lesson. Your journal felt heavier now, not just with star charts, but with the weight of your mistakes. You would no longer take things at face value. Every glint, every whisper, every seemingly helpful hand would be scrutinized. The path ahead was clear. Brute force and charming deception were Beatrice's weapons. Your strength lay in understanding the subtle, underlying truths, the harmonies that transcended mere appearances. The incident with the Stardust Sprite wasn't just a delay. It was a profound shift. The shame of being so easily manipulated burned, tempering your cynicism with a new, sharper edge of vigilance. You began to question not just the obvious deceptions, but the subtle implications, the unspoken motives behind every interaction. The pretzel pathways, once just a surface for your weary feet, now felt like a labyrinth of potential pitfalls. The sour patch, unchecked by your delayed progress, had metastasized. It was no longer a contained blight, but a spreading malignancy. Sections of the Buttercream Bridges began to dissolve entirely, their fluffy foundations turning into sickly sweet liquid that dripped endlessly into the void below. Flavor folk, once bustling with life, huddled in designated safe zones, their vibrant colors muted, their voices hushed. The cosmic communities, once a distant hum in your Lumina Scryer senses, now pulsed with palpable distress, their melodies barely audible, like faint, dying echoes. The fate of the world was no longer an abstract concept. It was a tangible, terrifying reality playing out before your eyes. Beatrice's automated solutions, while effectively suppressing the sour patch in localized areas, left behind a sterile, unnerving stillness. The silenced zones, devoid of the natural ebb and flow of flavor and aroma, felt like vast, empty tombs. Her harmony was the silence of a choked garden, the eerie quiet of a perfectly functioning, but lifeless machine. You saw it now, with a chilling clarity that transcended your usual cynicism. Her goal wasn't to restore, but to replace, not to unite, but to control. She was trying to fit a vibrant, chaotic symphony into a rigid, singular rhythm. Your journey for the muffin mech suit became a desperate race against time. Your journal, now your most trusted companion, was filled with new annotations, not just star charts, but also hastily sketched layouts of Beatrice's automated outposts, diagrams of her automaton's weaknesses, and intricate pathways through the deteriorating Buttercream Bridges that only a Lumina Scryer's intuition could discern. The tarnished music box locket around your neck, though still silent, seemed to weigh heavier, a constant reminder of things lost and things that needed to be restored. You tracked the mech suit's faint, fluctuating energy signature to a remote, crumbling section of the cloud fluff depths, a place where the light rarely penetrated and the air hung heavy with the scent of burnt sugar and metallic dust. This was a challenging terrain, even for the most seasoned explorer. The bridges here were not the familiar pretzel pathways, but twisted, hardened strands of licorice vine, coated in razor-sharp sugar crystals, leading into caves carved from dense, chewy nougat. This was exactly the kind of place where the muffin mech suit, a wearable vehicle for navigating challenging terrains, would be indispensable. As you navigated the treacherous licorice vine bridges, each step a careful calculation to avoid the sharp crystals, your Lumina Scryer senses flared with an alarmingly strong energy signature, Beatrice's. She was here. You had almost caught up. The entrance to the Nougat Cave was already partially secured by a contingent of Beatrice's automatons, their searchlights sweeping the cavernous interior. You pressed yourself against a pillar of crystalline rock candy, your heart hammering against your ribs. You needed a plan, and you needed it fast. This was no longer a philosophical debate. It was a battle for the very soul of the world. Beatrice sought to impose a sterile, automated order, silencing the vibrant, if sometimes chaotic, melodies of existence. You sought to coax out the fragmented notes, to reweave them into a harmonious symphony, acknowledging the beauty of their individual voices. The muffin mech suit, more than just a vehicle, became the symbol of this conflict, a tool for exploration, for navigating the organic complexities of the world, or a device to be harnessed for forceful, mechanical control. You observed Beatrice's team. They were precise, efficient, systematically dismantling the ancient security measures guarding the mech suit. She stood at the forefront, her movements sharp and decisive, her enhanced senses clearly guiding her. She wasn't just directing, she was actively seeking, her spark seeker abilities allowing her to pinpoint weaknesses and vulnerabilities in the crumbling, ancient defenses. Your journal was open, its pages reflecting the dim light of the cavern. You quickly sketched the automaton's patrol routes, noting the precise timing of their searchlight sweeps. An ancient star chart, depicting a constellation known as the Baker's Dozen, seemed to align perfectly with the cavern's layout, hinting at hidden passages and illusory walls. A subtle pattern in the chart, a minor alignment you dismissed as an artistic flourish, now suggested a pressure point in the cavern's structural integrity. This was your advantage. Beatrice relied on her scanners and brute force. You relied on intuition, observation, and the esoteric wisdom hidden in your journal. You slipped through a narrow crevice, a barely discernible gap in the nougat wall, guided by a faint hum that only your Lumina Scryer senses could detect, a residual resonance of the ancient architects. The air grew thick with the scent of aged flour and faint, sweet yeast. You emerged into a vast, circular chamber. And there it was, the muffin mech-suit. It was larger than you'd imagined, a magnificent construct of polished bronze and gleaming sugar steel, shaped like an oversized, perfectly baked muffin, complete with intricate candied embellishments. Its cockpit, a bubble of reinforced spun sugar glass, was currently open. It stood majestically on a raised dais of crystallized honey, its dormant engines pulsing with a faint, inviting warmth. Beatrice was already there, her back to you, her hands hovering over the suit's console. Her automatons were still dealing with the last of the ancient defenses, but she was moments away from activating it. Lexington, your voice, though a whisper, echoed with the cavern's natural acoustics, surprising her. She whirled, her face a mask of annoyance. Scryer, persistent, if nothing else. I should have anticipated your quaint fascination with antiquated machinery. She gestured with a dismissive hand. This is hardly a place for your sentimental stargazing. This mech-suit is vital for accessing the core resonance chamber of the harmony bell, and I will not have your fantastical notions interfere with a necessary surgical repair. Repair, you scoffed, stepping fully into the chamber. The crisp snap of your boots on the sugared floor was drowned out by the metallic clang of her approaching automatons. You call silencing the entire cosmic symphony a repair. You'll gut the bell, Beatrice. You'll replace its living, breathing song with a sterile, monotonous hum. And you, she countered, her voice now edged with genuine anger, will allow the entire system to collapse into chaotic dissonance while you sift through your arcane charts, hoping for a magical solution. This world, Scryer, needs order. It needs control, and it needs it now. The Sour Patch proves that your organic harmony is a flawed, unsustainable model. The Sour Patch is a symptom, not the disease, Beatrice. It's the wail of a fragmented, ignored symphony. You pointed to the tarnished locket around your neck. Harmony isn't a program you install. It's a melody you coax, a resonance you rediscover. Nonsense, she spat, her hands already moving towards the mech-suit's activation panel. Sparks flew from her fingertips, crackling with contained energy. Your melodies are inefficient. My automated world will be perfect, predictable, and everlasting. At what cost? You yelled, lunging forward. The automatons, now fully engaged, moved to intercept. You dodged a sweeping metallic arm its multi-jointed fingers whirring. Your Lumina Scryer skills, usually used for observation, now manifested as quick, intuitive bursts of foresight, allowing you to anticipate the automaton's movements. You weaved through their robotic forms, narrowly avoiding a precise, calculated strike that would have crushed you. Beatrice, her focus still on the mech suit, activated a sonic pulse from her earpiece, a high-frequency wave designed to disorient organic life. You staggered, your ears ringing, your vision blurring. But the sour shock revitalizer from Phelan, still lingering in your system, unexpectedly helped. The chaotic energy it had imbued you with scrambled Beatrice's precise sonic attack, allowing you to regain your footing faster than she expected. You pushed through the pain, your gaze fixed on the mech suit. Its console shimmered with a growing light as Beatrice powered it up. This wasn't just a fight for a machine. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the very definition of harmony. This suit is not for your sterile order, you roared, pulling a small, crystallized sugar shard from your pouch, a remnant from the Stardust Sprite's misleading trail, now a symbol of your learned caution. You imbued it with a focused burst of Lumina energy, transforming it into a dazzling, disruptive projectile. You hurled it at the mech suit's primary power conduit, a precisely aimed shot guided by your scrying. The shard hit its mark, sparking violently. The mech suit's activation sequence stuttered, its lights flickering. Beatrice cried out in frustration, turning her full attention to you. Her spark seeker abilities flared, crackling with raw, focused energy. She extended her hand, a torrent of concentrated electric sparks arcing towards you. You rolled, the sparks searing the air where you had been an instant before. The crisp snap of your boots on the sugared floor was frantic now, a drumbeat of desperation. You needed to get into that suit, not just to pilot it, but to protect it from her vision of harmony. The automatons moved in unison, attempting to corner you. But your journal, heavy in your pocket, seemed to guide you. A flash of memory, a half-forgotten diagram of a complex celestial dance, mirrored the automaton's movements. You saw their synchronized pattern, their predictable, automated responses. It was a flaw in their design, a rigid adherence to their programming. You executed a daring maneuver, feinting left, then right, drawing two automatons into a collision course. They crashed into each other with a shower of sparks and a metallic groan, their systems short-circuiting. You then used the momentum to spring onto the mech suit's dais, scrambling towards the open cockpit. Beatrice anticipated your move, leaping after you with astonishing agility, her suit humming with enhanced power. She was faster, stronger, her movements precise and unyielding. You knew you couldn't outfight her directly. Your strength was in insight, in understanding, not in brute force. You dove into the cockpit of the muffin mech suit, slamming the spun sugar glass canopy shut just as Beatrice's fist slammed against it, sending spiderweb cracks across the transparent surface. Her face, distorted through the fractured sugar, was a mask of pure fury. You fool, you will doom us all. You ignored her, your hands flying across the console. The controls were intuitive, ancient, but elegantly designed. The suit rumbled to life beneath you, its engines humming a low, powerful melody. The mech suit, a beacon of whimsy and ingenuity, vibrated with a unique energy signature, an organic hum that was utterly alien to Beatrice's sterile automatons. This suit, you transmitted through the mech suit's external speakers, your voice amplified and resonating with the suit's power, was built to navigate complexity, not to impose order. Its harmony is one of adaptation, of understanding, not of control. Beatrice snarled, her spark seeker abilities flaring. She began to generate an energy overload, attempting to disrupt the mech suit's systems from the outside. Sparks flew, internal alarms blared. The ground around the suit began to melt under the intensity of her power. You knew you couldn't stay. With a surge of power, you activated the muffin mech suit's primary thrusters. The suit leaped from the dais, shattering the honeyed crystal, and rocketed upwards, bursting through the cavern's ceiling in a shower of nougat dust and crystalline debris. The power of the suit was exhilarating, a blend of mechanical might and whimsical design. Its reinforced shell easily shrugged off the remaining automated defenses, a stark contrast to Beatrice's sterile precision. You were free, soaring through the crumbling, sour, patch-infested Buttercream Bridges. The muffin mech suit, a defiant beacon of hope in a world shrouded in acrid decay. The suit's specialized navigation systems, designed for unstable terrains, made short work of the dissolving cloud stuff and the treacherous licorice vine bridges. You could feel the subtle shifts in the sugary architecture, the weakening integrity, and the suit compensated, its articulated limbs moving with fluid grace, its thrusters adjusting with astonishing precision. The harmony bell, your ultimate destination, shimmered faintly in the distance, a colossal, bell-shaped structure forged from solidified starlight and ancient, petrified melodies. It was now almost entirely enveloped by the sour patch, its surface pitted and corroded, its resonant chimes a mere ghost of their former glory, a disharmonious clang that sent shivers down your spine. Beatrice's influence was visible even here. Sections of the sour patch surrounding the bell had been sterilized, leaving a dead, gray perimeter, a testament to her ruthless, automated harmony. As you approached, navigating the mech suit through a swirling vortex of sour mist and dissolving cloud flakes, your Lumina Scryer senses were overwhelmed. The harmony bell wasn't just dissonant, it was screaming, its fragmented melodies tearing themselves apart. You could hear the individual notes, each a distinct voice from a different cosmic community, desperately trying to find its place, but clashing, clanging, creating an unbearable cacophony. This was the source of the sour patch, the heart of the world's suffering. You landed the muffin mech suit gently on a relatively stable platform of crystallized sugar, directly opposite the bell's main entrance. The air was thick with the bitter tang of decay, but also, surprisingly, with a faint, almost imperceptible hum, a deep, ancient vibration beneath the surface noise. Your journal, resting in a compartment within the mech suit's cockpit, suddenly felt unusually warm. As you reached for it, a new, previously uninterpreted pattern in your journal began to light up. It wasn't just shimmering, it was glowing with a soft, internal luminescence, tracing lines you'd always dismissed as decorative flourishes. These lines formed a complex, three-dimensional helix, weaving through what you thought were random star patterns, creating an intricate constellation you had never noticed before. The Baker's Dozen constellation, which had hinted at hidden passages, now pulsed with a far greater significance. The tarnished music box locket around your neck, forgotten in the heat of your escape, began to vibrate, faintly at first, then with an increasing intensity, resonating with the journal's newfound light. A tiny, almost imperceptible click echoed from within the locket, a sound you hadn't heard in decades. You carefully unclasped it, your fingers trembling. For the first time, its lid, usually stiff with age and rust, sprung open with a soft sigh. Inside, where only tarnished, silent gears had once resided, was a miniature, exquisitely crafted celestial map. Not a map of stars, but of frequencies. And etched onto its tiny, almost invisible surface was the helix pattern now glowing in your journal. It was a mirror image. The locket wasn't just a childhood keepsake. It was the physical representation of the ancient star charts, a key that unlocked a deeper meaning. The insignificant object had become crucial. Your eyes widened, connecting the dots. The misleading comet trail of the Stardust Sprite, the dangerous detour through the Sour Patch, your heightened awareness after the betrayal, Beatrice's relentless pursuit, even the very composition of the muffin mech suit. All of it had, in some convoluted, unforeseen way, led you to this moment, to this profound understanding. The lost constellation key wasn't a tangible object to be found and inserted. It was a specific sequence of starlight frequencies, a forgotten melodic progression, now revealed through the combined wisdom of your journal and the long-dormant locket. The constellation key was the missing chord in the Harmony Bells Symphony, the essential piece required to unite its fragmented melodies. Beatrice's attempt to recalibrate. The bell was like trying to fix a broken instrument by force-feeding it a single, unchanging tone. She saw a machine needing repair. You now saw a living, breathing entity needing its voice, its soul rediscovered. This revelation recontextualized everything. The Sour Patch wasn't a system malfunction, as Beatrice believed, but the agonizing cry of the world for its lost harmony. The cosmic communities weren't merely out of sync. They were literally losing their connection to the central conductor, because the constellation key, the very blueprint for their collective song, was forgotten. You activated the Lumina Scryer interface within the muffin mech suit, allowing its advanced sensors to interface directly with your enhanced perception. The mech suit, originally a vehicle for navigating physical terrain, now became an amplifier for cosmic resonance. You focused on the glowing helix pattern within your journal, on the intricate frequencies etched into the locket. The cockpit filled with a shimmering, ethereal light. You began to play the constellation key, not with physical hands, but with your mind, directing the Lumina energy through the mech suit's systems, channeling the ancient melodic progression towards the ailing harmony bell. At first, nothing. The cacophony of the fragmented melodies continued, grating and painful. But then, a single, pure note resonated from the bell, a sweet, clear chime that cut through the dissonance like a sharp knife. It was followed by another, and another, slowly, tentatively, beginning to weave together. The helix pattern, channeled through the mech suit, was coaxing the lost melody from the heart of the bell, reminding it of its true nature. The sour mist surrounding the bell began to dissipate, replaced by a soft, golden glow. The corroded surfaces of the colossal chime began to shimmer, the pitting receding, its ancient starlight returning. The individual, clashing notes began to find their place, their frequencies aligning, creating a breathtaking symphony that swelled through the Buttercream Bridges and echoed out into the cosmos. The ground vibrated not with discord, but with pure, resonant harmony. The sour patch, starved of the discord that fueled it, began to recede, melting away like sugar in water. The Gummy Goo Gardens, visible in the distance, began to glow with renewed vitality, the Gummy Goo Sprites flitting among them, leaving trails of delightful aromas once more. The Buttercream Bridges, previously dissolving, solidified, their vibrant hues returning. You felt the individual cosmic communities reestablishing their connection, their unique melodies flowing into the central symphony, each adding its own voice, its own flavor to the unified whole. This wasn't a forced, automated silence. It was a celebration of diverse, organic resonance. Suddenly, Beatrice's voice, raw and unmodulated, crackled through the mech suit's external comms. "What have you done, Scryer? My sensors, my systems are stabilizing, but the frequencies, they are chaotic, illogical, yet beautiful." There was a tremor in her voice, a hint of something utterly alien to her usual clinical tone, wonder. You looked down from the cockpit. Beatrice stood on a distant, newly restored pretzel pathway, her automatons deactivated, their crimson eyes now dark and inert. She was alone, her polished suit dulled by the returning light, her intricate earpiece no longer glowing. She was looking at the harmony bell, at the receding sour patch, her gaze fixed, unblinking. For the first time, you saw her not as a rigid antagonist, but as a spark seeker who had genuinely sought harmony, albeit through a flawed, limited lens. She had tried to impose order, to control the chaos, but she had never heard the true song. The locket around your neck pulsed with a soft, residual warmth. It was a small, seemingly insignificant object that had held the true key to cosmic harmony, a testament to the fact that the most profound truths often lay hidden in plain sight, dismissed as irrelevant. The journey had been arduous, filled with cynicism and deception, but it had led you here, to this moment of unparalleled clarity. Your Lumina Scryer abilities were not just for reading stars. They were for listening to the universe's most subtle, most beautiful, and often most fractured songs. As the harmony bell chimed its final, glorious, unified note, a ripple of joy spread across the Buttercream Bridges. Phelan Skyweaver, now beaming, materialized beside the mech suit, a steaming pot of nebulae tea in hand, its aroma a fragrant blend of all the world's newly restored flavors. Scryer, you did it. The Gummy Goo Gardens are singing. It's like a cosmic chorus. What in the sweet name of all confection did you do? You disembarked from the mech suit, feeling lighter than you had in years. Your cynicism hadn't vanished entirely. A healthy skepticism would always be part of you, but it was now tempered by a profound understanding of true harmony, a harmony that embraced complexity, diversity, and even the occasional beautiful discord, knowing that it all contributed to the grand symphony. I simply reminded the bell of its song, Phelan, you said, a rare, genuine smile gracing your lips. You held up the locket, its inner workings now shimmering with a faint, iridescent glow, reflecting the renewed light of the world. Some keys, it turns out, aren't meant to be forced. They're meant to be listened to. Beatrice, her figure still distant, slowly turned, her gaze meeting yours. There was no apology, no concession, but a flicker of something new in her eyes, perhaps understanding, perhaps a grudging respect, or even, dare you think it, a spark of the wonder that had driven you all along. The automated world she sought was one of predictable order. The world you helped restore was one of vibrant, living song, a symphony of fragmented melodies united by a forgotten, yet eternal constellation key. The crisp snap of the pretzel pathway under your boots now felt not brittle, but resilient, a strong, sweet foundation for a world finally singing in harmony again. Your journal, once a secret solace, was now a chronicle of discovery, a testament to the truth that even in the most cynical of hearts, a melody of hope could always be found. The story was complete, and the music, finally, was whole.